Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Welcome, everyone, to a very boring post uh, trade deadline night here on Isles Talk. I'm your host this evening. My name is Paul Kreischer, and we're going to talk what happened on the trade deadline, uh, why no one was traded. We're going to look into the future a little bit with the upcoming schedule of this team, what I'm hoping to see for the rest of the season. And we're going to move on to the 2022 NHL draft. And of course, I'll be taking your questions all throughout the show. So, welcome everyone. And let's get started here. Yeah, hi. No trades. No trades today. Um, this was supposed to be, a time to grab some draft picks, maybe get some retooling in there. At least that was some of the hope for the Islander fans. But I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to say I'm disappointed. I think I'm more disappointed that I found out later on that Lou was looking for hockey trades. Because if that were the case, I probably would not have been here watching all the trades go through. Um, that I probably would have found something else better to do today. That's really the only thing I'm more upset about. And I'm not gonna lie. Um, yes, Cal Clutterbuck was definitely out there. Yes, Semyon Varlamov was definitely out there. But when I see Andrew Cogliano, what did he go for? I think it was a 2024 fifth round pick. Uh, you're gonna probably get something similar for Cal Clutterbuck. No, I would probably re-sign him the way Lou did, at least 1 year. And the second year, don't worry about the second year because if he gets injured or whatnot, he's pennies on the dollar right now. If he gets injured, he's automatically going to LTIR, and the Islanders will be able to save themselves, in cap space in case they need it. I'm very very excited that Zach Parisi is back for another season. I think that's a very smart move. Uh, you know, Where does he fit? We'll find out. I'm thinking third line again, but he's earned it. He's earned another contract, and good for him. I don't think it really means anything for Kiefer Bellows. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. But Lou did say there are hockey trades coming, and that's going to be something we're going to be talking about. Um, later on, a little later on in the show, but you know, no trades. And in all honesty, if Lou was picking up 2024 trades or picks, I probably would have been upset with it. This was a time where you wanted 2022 third round picks, fourth round picks, even a fifth rounder. Didn't seem to be getting it. Even 2023, which is now starting to shape up to be a really decent draft as we speak. I would have been a little mediocre with it, but I would have been okay. 2024, no, not at all. I don't want any of those players traded for 2024 picks. Same goes with Chara. Same goes with Green. Just too far away. You didn't need them. You don't need them. The Islanders certainly don't need them. Beauvillier getting traded at the draft with a summer. We'll talk about Bo. We'll talk about the summer in a little bit. That's going to be coming up. I'm not convinced right now that anyone's getting traded uh, until they do a thorough observation of this team, probably for the next 10 to 15 games. I don't see the kids coming up because Lou is correct. Bridgeport is in a playoff hunt. The only thing going against Bridgeport right now is that the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, who are ahead of them, have a 5-game. They have 5 games in hand of the Bridgeport Islanders. So we'll see where that goes. But for the rest of the season, and Joe, Joe and I have talked about this before. I really needed to see the Islanders come back after the first half of the season, after all the injuries and whatnot. I needed to see this team on a pace for like 90 points before the trade deadline. And sure enough, they ended up doing that. They ended up going 9-7 and 3 for a 91-point pace, and they have Ottawa tomorrow. If they can string that up, there you go. They brought that back up, which was nice to see. However, um, it's still not good enough because Washington right now is on pace for 103 points. Washington, the lowest they dipped was 100 points this year. They were on pace for 100 points. That was during their lull, and I said weeks ago Washington was going to bounce back up. There you have it. Washington's now back up to like 103. They'll probably get back up to 104, 105. The Islanders are never going to catch up to that. But for me, the Islanders bounced back. They got themselves back up to a 91-point pace, which is good. I don't necessarily need to see them finish in the 90s. It would be nice. Anywhere between 87 and 92 would be really good for this team. It would certainly make the outlook much better for next season, and we'll see what happens. But from here on out, let's just say the Bridgeport Islanders don't make the playoffs. I hate to say it, guys. There's really only three Bridgeport Islanders, maybe four, I want to see come up because there's not many. Some of them just haven't gotten the game yet. Simon Holmstrom, Robin Sello, Samuel Bolduc, and Jakob Skarek. Those are the only four I think I really want to see make the play. Come up to the Islanders probably in April, play with the big club just to see what they have. Durando, maybe. Durando is a maybe. I'll give you that. He has done very well. I would like to see Durando as a call up next season. I would also like to see Holmstrom as a call up next season as well. If we get some, better players down in Bridgeport again, which we're going to. Maybe even Bolduc getting a call up next season, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the Islanders are on pace to doing what I was hoping they were going to do, finish this season strong. So, again, if the Islanders were really going to get 2024 picks for all those veterans, they were better off keeping them for right now. That's 2 years down the road. You're not going to build a team. You're not going to go into a rebuild mode when you're going to go into a draft that's 2 years down the road and the picks aren't that great. You're not going to be doing a rebuild that way. So good on Lou for being patient. Yeah, it's like I said this before. His patience will kill you. His patience will kill you. This is a good one on Parisi here. 1.5 mil for Parisi. It's really good. I think that's it. No, I think 1.5 was 1.5 was Clutterbuck. 1.5 was Clutterbuck. Parisi is not Parisi is not official yet, but Clutterbuck's around that 1.5 or 1.75. It's a much easier contract for the fourth line. Yeah, Jim, this is a good one. Lou putting the team on notice. You better show me something these last 22 games, or you may not be here next year. Jim, I'm going to agree with that, and I think that's why this team's improved so far. And I think there are a few of those players who really need to step up. I'm not going to get into names. Some of you guys already know. This is, we're not going to be bashing anybody here, but you guys know who need to step up. And it's not just the older vets. It's some of the younger kids. The younger players have got to learn the system. They have to learn to play the right way. So I think it's going to be a combination of a few players who could be gone at the draft and Lou making legitimate hockey trades. And I had said this before. If, for those of you just coming in, if I knew Lou was making hockey trades today, I would never have watched this trade deadline, because most of the time on trade deadline day, you don't make hockey trades. It's a very rare occurrence. It does happen, but you know, this is one of those moments where I probably should have taken the day off from watching the TV. But yeah, the last 22 games, the players are on notice, and again, I really would like to see some of the kids play when their playoff chances are done. Now, having said that, I don't want them coming up until Bridgeport is absolutely eliminated from playoff contention, because they are playing meaningful hockey down there. Yes, playing up in the NHL, showing what you can do to prove yourself is meaningful, but you're with your team right now and you got a shot for the playoffs. That's more important right now. And believe me, the Islanders brass will be scouting a lot of those games moving forward. When do I worry if it's the wrong system? If they were completely bombing this year, if this team was on a regular schedule, um, in a normal NHL season, and this team was falling out of the playoffs, I probably would then start to worry. Maybe it is coaching, but it's the simple fact that this team is now back up into the 90s. They could still finish above 90 points. It's not the system. The system still works. We're just missing a couple of pieces to this large puzzle to make another run for the playoffs. So, okay. So that's pretty much what I want to see from the Islanders moving forward. It's pretty straightforward. Players need to step up. You want to see a couple of kids come in, showcase what they can do. And in the meantime, we get to enjoy the NHL playoffs. And I'm going to tell you right now, let me go to the East real quick. I don't know about you guys. I'm really looking forward to the Pens and Rangers if they are in the first round of the playoffs. The Rangers loaded up. They got enough depth right now, in my opinion. The goaltending should be good. I don't know if the Rangers necessarily improved. We'll find out. I think that's going to be on Gerard Gallant. But I think the moment the Pens got Raquel, that was a game changer. That could be a series changer. The Pens did very little. They also picked up their former defenseman. I currently forget his name. I just had it, but they picked up a very steady defenseman, and they picked up Ricard Raquel from Anaheim. That solidifies the Penguins. And if Evgeny Malkin steps up, has like a renaissance type of playoffs, could the Penguins still beat the Rangers? Maybe. Carolina getting Max Domi puts them in an excellent spot. I think they're going to be solidified. No, and the Pens did, and that's the thing that Lou was trying to explain. The Pens didn't give up along with everybody else. They didn't really give up a lot. They made a lot of trades for a lot of rentals. Lou wasn't looking for rentals. He normally doesn't. Look what happened when we traded for JG Pajot. We signed him to an extension. That's a hockey trade. That's a hockey move. Lindholm going to Boston was a hockey move. We didn't see anything else after that. Nathan Beaulieu, thank you. Yeah, Nathan Beaulieu. He's a former Pittsburgh Penguin as well. Very good, steady defenseman. But I'll tell you right now, Pens and Rangers, first round, I'm going to go Pens. And I think the key player in all of that will be Evgeny Malkin. If Malkin steps up, you're going to be good there. The Capitals. The Capitals did what they needed to do. I don't know if their goaltending is going to be sound, but it looks like the Caps are going to take on the Panthers, at least for now. Uh, I'm gonna go Panthers over the Caps. I think that's pretty easy. Um, the Caps are getting older, and I think this is another reason why the Islanders really didn't have to do anything. The Caps are gonna be kind of like that same team, only a little bit older, and they got more holes to fill, and they don't have the cap space to do it. So I think this is going to be the Caps' last hurrah. I also think this is going to be the Penguins' last hurrah. So I don't know just yet how good the Caps and Pens are going to be next year because they really won't have many, they won't have a lot left. So the Boston Bruins, good Lord. I'll say this now. I think the Boston Bruins are going to take a shot at second place in this division. The Boston Bruins are going for second in this division. I don't know if they'll take it, but if you're a Leafs fan, sorry, Randy, you should be worried. The Boston Bruins made some really good moves that I think should get them at least into third, and that's probably putting the Leafs and Carolina into the first round. And I'm gonna go Carolina. And Carolina's another team I'm gonna put that may not be the same entering next season. They only have about 12 or 13 players coming back next season. So do the Pens. It's going to be, yeah. Apparently, the Leafs did not get their goaltender because Arizona pulled a savage move in claiming their goaltender off waivers. And Boston going up against Tampa. I think that's going to seriously hamper the Lightning's chance to go for cup number 3. And I'll say this now, the Lightning are in trouble. They'll probably have to go through Boston. Then they got to go through the Panthers or Carolina. Yeah, no, they'd have to go through the Panthers next. And then they'd have to go through Carolina. That's a lot. Folks, that's a lot. That is going to be a bloodbath. Because I think Carolina comes out of that division. It could be the Pens and Carolina going at it, but I think Carolina's got that team that can beat anyone in the Metro at this point. And if I had to give you an Eastern Conference winner right now, I may go Panthers. But again, I'm talking about all these teams making the playoffs right now, and I'm going to bring this right back to the Isles. This is going to be an excellent test for the Isles because they do have to play all these playoff bound teams coming up. So not only is Bridgeport going to be scouted very heavily, the Isles, Lou's going to be taking a look because we still have to play the Penguins twice. I think we have another game with the Rangers. I think we got to go up against Carolina as well. It's going to be very tough for the Islanders. This is not going to be an easy schedule, and I think if the Islanders can come around and show that they're at least in these games, that's going to determine the kind of hockey trades Lou's going to be making. Dubas will not get fired. Not yet. Not yet. But, at some point, you can't fire a GM when your team's on pace for 110 points and you're in one of the toughest top 4 divisions. When your top 4 teams are basically tops in the NHL, you're not going anywhere. There's nothing you can do. So, the Islanders do have a tough schedule. They do have a long schedule, especially in the month of March, that they have to finish. And I will say this, emphasizing playing the kids again. Playing the kids allows these older vets to get some rest and to prepare for next season. If they are recovering from injuries, if they are slowly getting back, they're getting back into, a normal rhythm and pace, at some point, give these guys this extra rest. Get them ready for training camp. That's what you want. Play the kids, see what you have in them, and then we can move on to the draft. Michael March. I think most teams that will be playing the Islanders won't have an easy go of it. No, they won't. Too many professionals on the Islanders to just pack it in. I agree. Oh no, Islanders are absolute spoilers, Michael. You're absolutely right on that. They're not playing pride. They're not playing for pride right now. They're playing spoilers. They want to make everyone's lives miserable. They're going to still continue to grind out their games. They're going to hurt players. They're going to, bang them up. They're not going to make it easy for them, and they're going to deliver a message saying we are coming back. So we will see you next year. So Michael, you're spot on with that. The Islanders will not be going anywhere, and you got to remember too when these kids are coming up, they've got something to prove. So everyone is in here. They're going to put in that 110% effort. So don't think the Islanders if they play the kids they're going to lose every game. They're not going to. I don't think the Islanders are going to attempt to tank. And let's talk about tanking here real quick as we get into the 2022 NHL draft. Right now, folks, I'm not going to lie. It's looking like the Islanders, after what Winnipeg just did at this deadline, Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Jets are eventually going to drop. The Ducks trading all their players away, I think they're going to drop even lower. The Islanders right now are on pace for the 12th pick. And I got to tell you, after what Winnipeg, I don't think I have him in. Nope, not yet. I think after what the Winnipeg Jets just did today, I think you're looking at the Islanders picking 13th, 14th, or 15th. Something like that, somewhere in that area. And again, that's not bad. As a matter of fact, they were slated to pick anywhere between 25 and 32. So they're moving up the draft by 10 spots at least. And I've said this before. Give me another centerman or a right-handed defenseman there. And the Islanders have got something going. And the Islanders could also trade down. The Islanders can trade down from 15, go down to 25, and still accumulate a few more picks either this year or next year and still complete a hockey trade. That could still happen. I wouldn't be shocked by that. I don't think the Islanders are going to go, 2009 ballistic and accumulate draft picks after draft picks after draft picks. You don't have to rebuild like that. But you could certainly grab an extra pick or two holding that number 12 or 13 slot in this year's draft. No doubt. So the Islanders have about 12 million in cap space heading into next season, and they're going to have, let's call it the 13th overall pick. That's not bad. That's still not bad. Will we see any surprise call-ups before the draft? I've maybe Arnaud Durando. Maybe Arnaud Durando. I would like to see Simon Holmstrom, Jakob Skarek, Robin Salo, and Samuel Bolduc. Let them play against teams like Buffalo, Montreal, New Jersey, teams out of the playoffs, but they're certainly better than the American Hockey League teams right now. I would like to see those kids come up and play just to see if they don't have to score goals. I just need to see if they can fit if they can fit in for a couple of games here and there, where's their progression? What do they need to do when they go back to the American Hockey League? So we'll go from there. Um, Good call. I did forget him, and I knew I was going to forget him. Wotherspoon and Hutton. Hutton is another one I'm going to be intrigued with. He's a right-handed defenseman. He's going to be a Group 6 unrestricted free agent. I think I would like to see him come up. I still think he has a shot at the number 7 position next season for the Isles. Wotherspoon. Wotherspoon plays a decent game. I don't know. He's definitely a decent call up at this point. He's not going to be, nothing flashy to his game. He's like the American Hockey League version of Adam Pelech, just a good, steady defenseman, and he's getting better with age. So he wouldn't be a bad call up. But the other ones are, those are the kids I really want to see. Hutton, Bolduc, and Bolduc and Hutton are on the same pair on defense when they play down in Bridgeport. Simon Holmstrom, Jakob Skark, and maybe Arnaud Durando. Maybe. So Trotz came out. What's that? Came out that Trotz hasn't signed. Is he gone after next year? Probably not, but Lou doesn't talk contract until the contract's actually over. Lou has never talked contract extensions with anybody. That goes back to his Jersey days, way back when. Never has. Never has. Am I worried that Trotz is not coming back? No. And again, I think we all have to wait for the draft, and I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna go beyond the draft as well. I think for some of us looking for that elite winger, it may happen right before the season begins, or it could also happen at the draft. I think I think Lou's going to be very busy. I think he's been busy. I think that's what most of his phone calls were about. Honestly, I think Lou is getting ready for the 2022 draft, making these phone calls today or yesterday, a couple of weeks from now, or excuse me, he's been making phone calls weeks ago about the 2022 draft. No reason not to. Plan ahead. So we have to see what happens. So again, moving forward, let me switch over to the West real quick. Vegas is still out. If Vegas gets healthy, they could still take out the Stars. I'm a little surprised the Stars did not go further than Scott Wedgwood. The Kings look solid. The Oilers look good for now. The Predators are solid. I'm going to say this now with the Predators, and I think they're going to get everybody signed. I don't think you're going to see anyone available that the Islander fans are coveting. I think the Predators are going to have him signed, ready to go. All signs are pointing to him signing. So I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be available. I don't think he's going to be a free agent. And Lou has already said hockey trades. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, Mark. Obviously Chara will get his one last hurrah. But yeah, the Salos and Bolducs and Huttons, they should get some time from here on out. I don't want them playing against teams like the Rangers. I don't want them playing teams against Pittsburgh. I don't want them playing, playoff teams. Let them play against Montreal. Let them play against Buffalo. Some of those other lesser teams. That'll be a real good test for them. Those are times to rest the veterans. So, the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues going at it. That reminds me of the Rangers and Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be the one I'm going to watch the most in the Western Conference will be the Blues and the Wild. Because I'll tell you right now, if the Blues lose to the Wild in the first round, get ready for some tinkering, boys and girls. The Blues are definitely going to retool. That's for sure. But in the end, I think it's going to be Flames and Avs unless Vegas gets healthy. If Vegas gets really healthy really quick and Mark Stone comes back and Robin Leonard suddenly gets hot, the Golden Knights are not going down easily against the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche will take them, but it would definitely be a lot longer. So I don't understand not at least moving Green. Look, Andy Green at this point, with all the other trades I was seeing, Andy Green was probably going to go for a 2026 fourth round pick. Like, it wasn't worth it. And these players signed on before the season knowing that they probably were not going to get traded. And it's something I had been saying on the show before. If the players really didn't want to get traded, Lou was not going to trade them. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Blues got Letty. Great move. Great move by the Blues. They're set. I want to see the Blues and Wild go absolutely nuts on each other. I want to see overtime. I want to see 7 games out of that series. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. There's no question about it. Do I see Ratu in Bridgeport this fall? Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. There's going to be an influx of some young players coming in. Ratu is one. William DeFore, I believe, is going to be another one. We also have my other little favorite Russian. Where are you? There we are. My other favorite Russian coming in. Where are you? Nope. I need the current prospects. Ruslan Ishkakov. He could be coming in. I'm hoping for Bodie Wild to come back. So there's going to be a good influx of kids coming in. Don't forget, this is also the season for college free agents to be signed to either, entry-level contracts or PTOs to get a good feel for the team to see if they actually make it. So, yeah, thank you. Ruslan Ishkakov should be here. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not expecting anybody else really to show up just yet. But definitely looking at William DeFore, Ruslan Ishkakov, and Atu Ratu should be with Bridgeport next season. And there's a part of me that would really like to see Simon Holmstrom, Atu Ratu, and William DeFore on one line. Ha 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 ha. That would be a really good line for Bridgeport next season. That would be something I would love to see. Good question. We're going to get into this a little bit later in a couple of weeks. Has Holmstrom made strides? Yes. It may not be the way you guys are hoping, but he has made strides, at least in his defensive game. And I think that's where I want to see his game defensively in the NHL. I think his overall game is getting better. This is a year where I'm going to critique a little bit more about him because now he is 20. If you guys remember in the previous years, he's 18, he's 19. I really wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about him getting just enough games, getting his feet wet and whatnot. Now that he's 20 and he's been in this league for a little while now, you want to critique his game a little bit more. I can say he has been much better defensively this year, and I think that's been on purpose. What I really would like to see from him next season is putting that whole package together. And I think bringing in players like Ratu and a scorer like William DeFore, I think that's going to elevate his game because now he's going to have pieces to his own personal growth puzzle, and he's going to be much better, I think, next season. I'm looking for a really good year from Simon Holmstrom next season. But in terms of this draft, as you guys know, I cover it every year. There's a couple of good centermen. There are a couple of players who are still under the radar who could make their move up. So if I'm the Islanders and you really want to see a rebuild mode, nothing would shock me if Lou actually traded down to accumulate a few more picks in this year's draft or even next year's draft. That would be the way to go. Seattle, Detroit, two teams that come to mind right now. They are even Montreal. They're loaded with picks this year and next year. These two drafts right now are the teams that you literally build your franchise around if you're that type of GM. I'm going to be doing my research. I will be covering the draft to some scale. And I'm excited to see. I am giddy with this 2022 draft because these kids probably would be ready in about 2 years, 3 years max. I think these kids are really going to be good this year. We do not have 2 second rounders. As a matter of fact, we have Colorado's second round. So if Colorado wins the Stanley Cup, you're looking at pick number 64. So that's the other benefit of having, let's just call it right now, the number 12 or the number 13 pick. We really weren't supposed to have it. So could we nab another second rounder in this year? We could. Could we get another higher third? We could. So you get that really low pick in Colorado, then you get a really high pick in that third round. You got something going there with the Isles. So, yeah. It's good. The draft is going to be a lot of fun. And again, Lou could make a splash. He could. He's got some pieces. He could make a splash. Um, Hockey trade could also mean a cap trade. Hockey trades money for money trade. I could definitely see that happening. Um, you know, yeah, Avs are definitely a heavy contender. If you ask me who I think the Islanders are going to go after, I will say this now. I think that's what the Islanders are going to be looking at over the next 20 games. Is the scoring okay? Do they think they have enough? Is there enough growth in Oliver Wahlstrom that they may not have to? Is there enough growth in Kiefer Bellows? Is Simon Holmstrom progressing nicely? I still think they're going to go after a winger to help out Matt Barzal at some point. But I think the Islanders are going to go after, and obviously we can all agree that they're going to go after another defenseman. And I've said this before, if you've been following the show, when the Islanders defense scores 3 points or more in a game, doesn't matter if it's the same defenseman, if the Islanders defense score 3 points or more, they're 15-4-2. Okay, let me repeat that. 3 points or more, they're 15-4-2. That's staggering. Okay. If the Islanders defensemen score 2 points or more in a game, you're looking at 22-7-7. Okay. So not only did Ryan Pulock's injury hurt the Islanders, losing Nick Leddy to cap issues also hurt this team. Now, this is why I said bring up Robin Salo. Could he be the answer? I don't think so. Do we need to bring someone back like a Nick Leddy? Probably yes. Someone a little bit younger. But does he have to put up 30 points, 35 points? No. No. All he has to do is compliment Noah Dobson, play a number 4 role, put up some points because I think if you use Robin Salo as a number 6, he'll put up some points with Mayfield. You bring in this other defenseman, they can balance out any kind of loss from Pellick or Pullock or even Dobson. And the Islanders can still be on a decent roll. Lou has to know at this point that it's absolute must to try to acquire someone to pair with Barzell. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't think there's anyone here who can really match his speed. Bailey's got the right he has the right IQ, but he doesn't have the speed or the talent to really keep up with Matthew Barzell. I think you need to find a Thomas Vanek type of player. A better two-way, let me rephrase that, a better two-way Thomas Vanek. You do that with Matthew Barzell and Anders Lee, oh boy. It's over. It's over. We all know it's over. Yes, Villamaki is one of those guys I've been looking for on defense. It may still happen. Yeah, Villamaki's at it, but Calgary's losing quite a few defensemen. I think Villamaki's going to be used with Calgary next season. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Villamaki's been on my radar now for quite some time. Um, uh, I know there's been some noise with Chitrin, and it's true. Lou has made phone calls about Chitrin, but I know they were during the summertime. That's true, but they were just phone calls. And if it is true that the Islanders are going to try to make a very hard pitch for Chitrin, oh yeah, Jim, let's put this on here. What would it take to get him, and is it worth it? The problem is the Boston Bruins. If I'm getting my info correctly, the Boston Bruins, even after trading Lindholm, the Boston Bruins still have more appeal, and the Los Angeles Kings, to my knowledge, are still the front runners for Chitrin. What would it take? Probably a first rounder in this year's draft. Maybe I think they said another prospect or two, which it would probably have to be Ratu, which I don't think the Isles would give up. There was a lot more. And honestly, the Islanders just don't have enough unless Arizona comes down on their asking price. And to be honest with you guys, here's the thing. The Coyotes really don't have to trade Chitrin anytime soon. Look at DeBrusk. DeBrusk has to be traded away from Boston. What's it going on? Almost a year now? Yeah. And he hasn't been traded. And if Chitrin sees what, you know, Arizona's doing, Chitrin may rescind his trade request. He'd be like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I want to be a part of it. So I think Chitrin isn't going to be traded. I don't think there's a hurry for it. And I think if Chitrin really I think if he's made aware of what's going on, he may not want to go. So he's up in the air. The issue with me is, can Chitrin stay healthy? He's a great player when he's healthy, but he misses roughly, 20 games out of the year. You got to have a good balance somewhere in Bridgeport to call someone up when Chitrin gets injured. So, the 2022 NHL draft is going to be interesting. I hope the Islanders make quite a few draft picks. I hope they draft well, and then I do hope they make that trade. Somewhere along the line where everybody can clear a little bit of cap space, give themselves a little more breathing room. So, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. This went much quicker than I thought it would. It's water cooler talk time. Chitrin was a good start. This is your questions, comments, concerns, any rumors you may have heard. Vent to me your either your enthusiasm or your disappointment with this trade deadline. What were your thoughts on the trade deadline? Hit me with anything. What would you like to know? Am I really that upset with Lou? No. No, not yet. Oh, Mark. Varley gets traded in the offseason. Oh, I hate you, Mark. Ah, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on it, and I'll tell you why. Um, Ask me that question when the playoffs are over. Because I'll tell you right now, if teams like the Blues, if teams like the Flames or the Oilers, or even Vegas, if these guys lose in the first round, they got to clear some cap space. And that's where I'm going to look for like that Nick Leddy trade. Give off a couple of has-beens for a player now who can help this team win now. And in doing so, we take away a little bit of that cap space from that team so that way they can start retooling. That is a hockey trade. That's a Lou move. That's a move that Garth Snow learned from Lou Lamoriello. That's a hockey move, folks. That would be something I could see. Varlamov for me, me personally, I would love to keep him. Going into next season, I think they would be the best goaltending duo in the Metro Division. I really do. It's 1A, 1B, and you're going to get a healthy Varlamov to start the season. The Islanders are basically coming back at everybody and saying, we dare you to beat us. I mean, if it's a regular schedule, if everything's normal, if the Islanders start the season off healthy, oh man. I will answer that question again in the offseason right before the draft. If some of these teams move on to the second and third round, it might be a little bit harder to attract some of those other players. But good question, Mark. Let's see what we can do after the playoffs, and I'll answer that question for you. Expectations on Sorokin next season. How much higher can his ceiling be? He will be the starter next season, and I think Varlamov knows that. How high is his ceiling? What's he doing right now? Give me one moment. If we're talking numbers, he's on pace for a 2.3 goals against average. Um, I think you're going to see the same stuff from Sorokin. You could probably go 2.2 goals against average for Sorokin, and he's on pace to play 42 games this season, I think. Is that right? Did I do the math on that right? 868. No, I did the math wrong. Oh no, 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 no. Yeah, he's got a 2-to-1 split right now. So he's basically doing, 55, almost 55 to, that 50-30 split Sorokin's doing right now. I think you're going to see his goals against average go down just a little bit. I think you could see Sorokin in the Vezina conversation at some point. Especially if Lou can properly retool this team. And it could be as soon as next season. I think Sorokin still has another level to go. I really do. And I've seen that enough out of him to confidently say that. So, Vezina trophy for Sorokin next season? Maybe. Maybe. Jim, I think he stays and resigns for another 2 to 3 years at $3 million per. Jim, who are you referring to? The Islanders are out of the playoffs. They are done, and Clutter and several others could have said trade me to a cup contender, but they remained. That is a statement. It is a statement. It is a statement, and that goes back to the Athletics stating, Lou is hard when it comes to negotiating a contract, but after that, everyone loves Lou. And now the Islanders have what they have. They're a premier destination with a GM who really cares. So yeah, I didn't think Clutterbuck really wanted to go anywhere, but you know, he's back. That's the main kicker. Really? All right. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna fill this in for you, Jim. Jim basically says he thinks Varley stays and resigns for another 2 to 3 years at $3 million per. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that's going to rely. That's going to depend on Jakob Skarek. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Jakob Skarek has improved this year. Um, Next year, I think his goal would be a number 3, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. There are times when Skarek reminds me of Yaro Halak, and then there are times when Skarek reminds me of Tommy Soderstrom. For those of you old boys out there, you know who exactly I'm talking about. Okay. I need to see more of a Thomas Grice like style from Jakob Skarek. Jakob Skarek right now is like giving up rebounds left and right, like Yar Halak used to with those pads. It's horrible. But with Yarrow, the puck used to bounce off his pad and used to go to the back of the board. With Skarek, he bounces off his pads and it's still like in front of the crease. So the players are digging up those rebounds. It just can't happen. And then you get the sloppy play like Tommy Soderstrom used to do. And when he gets crowded in, you forget it. He's all over the place, Skark. He's like a turtle. It's just, oh. So, you know, if Jakob Skark has a phenomenal Bridgeport season, I don't think Varley would stay. But if Skark really can't handle it, Tristan Lennox is the next guy to come up. Maybe Tikkanen, that 2 to 3 year at $3 million per. I think Varley would do it. I think Varley would do it, Jim. I won't disagree with you there. But we're jumping ahead a little too far. Joe and I have said this before, and we'll say it again until we're blue in the face. This is a 4-year window for the Islanders to go after the cup. This is currently year 3. Year 4 is next season. And I don't want to say it's do or die, but with the current core that they have, this is going to be their best chance at winning it next season. They may have to go through Tampa again, but you bring in the right pieces, I could definitely see the Islanders racking up second place again. Maybe even first. Because Carolina is not going to be the same team. The Penguins are not going to be the same team. The Rangers are in cap hell. The Capitals could be the same team, but they don't have enough cap to really change anything at the moment. So we'll talk about the rest of the Eastern Conference when this season's over. We'll dive into a little bit like that. Oh, here he is. He finally decided to show up. We also said they would go to a 5th year because this year was a wash. Yes, that's true. And we're also going to go a 5th year, maybe even a 6th year, depending on who they bring in for this 2022 draft during the trades. And remember, they could also make a trade right before the season starts. So I think this is going to be an entire summer of minor retooling for the Islanders. But I think by the time camp starts or by the first day, we're going to know who this team really is. Michael, at this point of his career, Varley might be accepting the fact that he is more of a backup goalie and seems to be happy on the island. You know what? It's not just that, Michael. Varley is going to be ready to win a Stanley Cup for the rest of his career. He is. He's going to be ready. He's a former Vezina winner, and I believe he was a finalist for the Vezina another time. he's in a place where he really doesn't want to go anywhere. And I believe it's Brighton Beach, where everyone, the Russian players, they all go to Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, they all go to that area. They love playing on Long Island. Uh, it's a place that they can call home. Now, granted, Varley has a place in Dallas, I not Dallas, but in Texas in the summertime. But for him, this is the place to be. A lot of the Russian players do enjoy coming to Long Island, especially with what Long Island has to offer. But again, that comes down to the Islander culture. And honestly, if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, could Varley then leave? Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? But again, trying to track 2 years from now is going to be difficult with this team. Um, for right now, I think the focus pretty much should be next year. And I think the Islanders are going to be better no matter what. It's just simply because the Pens, the Caps, the Carolinas, this could be like their last year making a legitimate run with the core that they have. The Islanders are pretty much intact. So are the Caps, but they don't have a lot of cap room yet. They don't have a lot of money to make a lot of moves. The Islanders do. So, was it a good move to re-sign Clutterbuck? Yes. Yes, especially if a player like Cogliano only got you a 2024 pick. Yes, re-signing Clutterbuck made all the sense in the world. Zach Parisi, yes. Let's not even beat around the bush. 1 year deal, perfect. Um, it's time to move on. Play the kids. Let's see how the Islanders play against some of these tougher teams the rest of the season in. Um, let the competition between Sorokin and Varlamov continue. There's brotherly love there, but they're both going to fight each other for that number one spot, and they should. That's exactly what they should be doing. Um, so, we have a few months before the 2022 draft. Um, Normally, I would say this is probably going to be the last show for a couple of weeks, and I think I'm going to do that again this year. We're going to get Gary back to normal in a couple of weeks. Um, Joe's been busy a bit, so I think we're all going to take a break in another 2 week for like another 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see what happens. Do I see a reduced role for Martin next year? No, no. And again, I don't think the identity line is going to go anywhere. If they get injured, they'll be put on LTIR, and that just means more cap maneuvering for Lou to work with. That's really all this is. That's why Clutterbuck got 2 year deals. It's just more cap flex. And that's the other thing that this trade deadline definitely showed me. The cap is going to have some serious problems the cap is going to be serious problems for other teams. No doubt. We're not seeing an influx or a raise of significance in that cap ceiling anytime soon. And we're down to giving away draft picks. So um yeah, that's going to be a tough one on a lot of teams. Honest question. What gives you hope that next season will be better than this season? Great question. It's a great question. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I've been openly critical of the Islanders and the state of New York getting UBS Arena, having it done by November. You start a 13 game road trip. Who does that? Nobody. I put that on the owners. I put that on the state of New York. Okay, you had gorgeous weather, winter wise, the last 2 years. How do you not get that arena done on time? Okay, that's number one. COVID's another. COVID is another. And for those who just don't want to admit it, Devon Tays and Nick Leddy were traded because of cap issues related to COVID. I've said this before and I will say it again. If there was no COVID at all and we had the regular 2 NHL seasons, you're looking at a salary cap ceiling of $94 million. 94. Would Devontae's be on this team? Probably. Nick Leddy be on this team? Probably. Any cap issues? None. How much cap space would the Islanders have? Probably right where they're at right now. 12. And if it goes up another 2 million, you're looking at 14 million. Okay. And again, you go through the numbers that I've been explaining. When the defense scores, the Islanders dominate. Okay. Let me throw this stat at you guys. Nope. Come here. Nope. When the Islanders are leading after 2 periods, they're 21, 2, and 1. The Islanders are 21, 2, and 1. You know who they lost twice to? The Colorado Avalanche. Okay. We're talking some minor tweaks here to balance this team out completely. For a full season, yes, I am very excited. What the team is starting to show me now is that the system still works. The players have not given up on Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz has not given up on the players. The system works. Are the players tired? Yes. Grueling? Yes. Do they kind of deserve this break? Yes. Okay. But what Lou is going to do with this 2022 draft is do exactly what Tampa did way back when. Continue to draft, replenish the system. And it's like I've said before, I'm the crazy one that follows the draft. I love draft time. Okay. The Islanders have drafted players 2019, 2020, and last year that those kids, they're not bad. They just take longer to develop. In 22 and 23, these are going to be the kids that are going to accelerate because they're better. They're a little more talented. They're going to take a less time. You combine the last 3 years with the upcoming 2 years, put them all into a mix with the current team that we have now with say 12 million in cap space. Yeah. I'm very optimistic for next season. And again, you guys know this. You guys know this. We find a legit winger for Matthew Barzell. Who's stopping? Okay, it looks like no one can stop Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, and whoever's on that line anyway. Their top D pair are going to have to handle Barzell and whoever, Anders Lee, and whoever's on that right wing side. And then you got the second pair and third pair taking care of Brock Nelson, JG Pageau. No. The Islanders are going to chew every team up next year and spit them right out. And no adoption, I'm telling you now, no adoption. You still haven't seen his best games yet. You haven't. I'm excited because I've seen these kids play. I'm excited because I know what the Islanders are about to do. Bill Torrey did it. To an extent, Garth did it, but not so much. Jimmy Devellano's done it. This is what I watch. This is what I grew up with. And Lou's doing it now with these kids. Just because they are a year older doesn't make them bad. The system still works. The system is very basic. The system is tough, don't get me wrong, but it's a very simple, boring game. And when you can do that, you can have the older players play a little bit longer. But the trick is for next season, it's to have some of these kids ready so that way when they're called up, it's just a seamless flow. And that's what you're going to see probably starting next year, and it ramps up every year after that. because I think, let me see now. You're looking at 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm looking at 2023. 22, maybe parts of 22, definitely 2023. They're all getting together. All these kids that we drafted the last 3 years and entering this year, they're all coming together in 2023. Oh. So, yeah, if, say, for example, the Islanders get themselves a really decent moving defenseman to work with Noah Dobson, they bring up Robin Salo as a number 6 with Scott Mayfield. You bring in someone like Vladimir Tarasenko to play with Matt Barzal. Guys, you're set for the next 2 years. That puts you into 23 and 24. And then you got all the rookies in Bridgeport who are probably going to be ready to go. So, yes, that's what makes me hopeful that this coming season will be better than this one that right now. Plus, as I've been saying before, I don't think some of these other teams that are in the playoffs right now, I think they're in some serious cap trouble. They're going to have a lot of maneuvering, and when that happens, you're going to lose some of the talent. And that's what happened to the Islanders. They just happened to do it earlier than some of these other teams. You lose Devontae, you lose Nick Leddy, you lose Jordan Eberle. Guess what? You go down. I think that's what you're going to see from some of these other teams in the Metro Division and in the Eastern Conference. Some of these other guys are just going to have to drop from where they are and move on to other teams, and that's when you're going to see the drop. The Islanders just did it earlier. That's it. And thankfully, it may only have to be for 1 year. Look at Philly. Ha Philly's now stuck. Okay, Philly's stuck. They're in some massive trouble. So that's why I'm more hopeful for next season. I feel Dobson will be a Norris candidate very soon. That could be. You have a Vezina Trophy candidate, quite possibly in Sorokin. You're going to have a Norris candidate in Dobson. Yeah, you're going to get all of that. Any bad blood between Wally and Trotz? No. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you with confidence there is no bad blood between Wally and Trotz. It's like I said last week. Wallstrom is going through the same growing pains as Dobson last year. Okay. Dobson had his issues. People were kind of critical about him. And as you can tell right now, Wallstrom has 0 points, I think, with Matt Barzal right now. Wallstrom's going to get it. When Wallstrom finally gets it, Wallstrom's going to be explosive. Wallstrom's going to be nasty. Wallstrom won't need Matthew Barzal. Because once Oliver Wallstrom gets the puck, he's going to know exactly what to do with it. And when he gets nasty, look out. But that's going to be because of Barry Trotz. There is trust between the two of them. If there wasn't trust, Barry wouldn't be starting him right now. So we'll go from there. Great question. Who has a better role next season, Bellows or Wally? I think Wallstrom's going to have a bigger role than Bellows. I will say this. I think the Islanders may go, if the Islanders go 7 defensemen, I could still see Ross Johnson and Kiefer Bellows here, but that would mean someone on the regular roster would have to get moved. We'll see what happens. If the Islanders go 6 defensemen, then I think you can see Bellows, Ross Johnson, and another forward stay. I think. So I think it's going to depend on if the Islanders go 6 defensemen or 7 defensemen. I'm going to say right now, Kiefer Bellows is the extra forward for right now. If somebody gets injured, he's in there. Wallstrom, I think, is going to be the permanent, I'm going to say middle 6 forward. And I'm gonna say it's something similar to what Sorokin and Varlamov were. Varlamov was originally the starter, and it was his to lose. And then at some point, everything clicked for Sorokin, and then he took over the reins. I think that's what Barry is waiting for Oliver Wahlstrom. Um, they're waiting for Wallstrom for everything to finally click, and when that does, I think you're going to see Wallstrom on the second line. I do. I think you're going to see Wallstrom on the second line, and you pretty much go from there. He'll take the Islanders even further. So it's all coming together, boys and girls. I still think it's going to be a lot of fun. The Islanders are not done yet. They're not even close. And if this 2022 draft really comes into fruition, uh, the Islanders are going to be around for a lot longer than some of the skeptics think so. So that's going to be it. We ran for like an hour and 11 minutes here. Thank you guys for coming on. Like I said, I think we're going to take a couple of weeks off. I'm going to say this now. Enjoy the remaining 20 games. You got the identity line back. Watch the kids. Um, and when we come back and do a show, tell me what you saw out of the kids, because I see them quite often. Let me know what you see out of them. Let me know what you see out of the team. Do your own scouting. Scout this team. You don't have to be a professional about it. And then when we get back, say in about 2 weeks or so, tell me what you think of the team. Tell me some of the flaws. Tell me some of the good things, and we'll go from there. And that's how we could probably wrap up um, the draft. And Lou kind of needs to go after this. Lou needs to go after that, and then we can get into specifics. So scout the team, enjoy spring, enjoy the warmer weather, and you know, Gary, Joe, and I will probably be back. I'm going to say in the beginning of April, and we'll go over that, and then we're probably going to do like a season finale. We'll talk about the season, everything else, and then I'll get into prospects. We'll get into the draft and so on and so forth. Maybe we'll do a draft party. I'm not sure where. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that, and we'll move forward. So, having said that, don't forget to follow Isles Talk on Twitter at Isles Talk, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, thank you for coming and sticking around for this long. It's been a great conversation. Keep your heads up. The Islanders aren't done, they're not going anywhere. They made the right choice by not getting 2024 draft picks this year. Look forward to this draft. Look forward to the actual hockey trades that will happen, and look forward to this upcoming season as well. But for now, concentrate on the next 22 games. See how well the Islanders compete against playoff teams. See how the kids play, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for coming on. Let's go Islanders, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks.